Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're diving into one of the most, frankly, insane economic collapses in all of modern history. We're talking about Germany's 1923 hyperinflation crisis. This was a time when money, the very idea of it, just stopped working.
I mean, really think about that for a second. How does a country's money become so worthless you need a wheelbarrow full of it just to buy bread? It sounds like a joke, but it actually happened. To get how Germany got there, we have to rewind the clock all the way back to the end of World War I.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down. We'll start with an impossible debt, see what happens when a payment is missed, then look at the invasion of the Ruhr, the chaos of the worthless mark, and finally, the long-term damage this did to the German Republic.
Okay, so our story actually kicks off not with numbers on a spreadsheet, but with a peace treaty. Yeah, the treaty that was supposed to end the war to end all wars.
So, in 1919, you have the Treaty of Versailles. On paper, it ends the war. Great. But for Germany, the terms weren't just harsh, they were absolutely crushing. You could say it basically lit the fuse for the economic bomb that was about to go off.
Get a load of this number, 132 billion gold marks. That's what Germany was told it had to pay in war reparations. And we're not just talking about a big number here. We're talking about a demand for wealth that Germany, after being totally wrecked by the war, just didn't have. Plus, it had to be paid in gold or stable foreign currency, which put this incredible strain on their ability to do, well, anything.
Now look, you can kind of see where they were coming from, right? Countries like France had been absolutely devastated. Their towns, their industries, gone. So yeah, they wanted compensation. But here's the thing. Demanding this kind of money from a country that was already on its knees economically, it's like telling someone with two broken legs to go run a marathon. It was basically doomed from the start.
All right, so what happens when a country just can't pay? Well, the consequences can get pretty explosive. And in this case, oh boy, did they ever.
So you've got this brand new German democracy, the Weimar Republic, born in 1919, and from day one, it's just struggling to stay afloat. For 3 years, they somehow managed to make the payments. But then, in late 1922, the inevitable happened. They defaulted. They missed a payment, and that one single event lit the fuse on the whole powder keg.
So that missed payment, it wasn't just a financial oopsie. It turned into a huge international showdown. And France? Well, France was not about to just let it go.
The French basically said, okay, if you're not going to pay us in cash, we'll just come and take it. So French and Belgian troops literally marched into the Ruhr Valley. Now you got to understand, the Ruhr was the industrial heartland, the absolute engine room of the entire German economy. All the major factories, the coal mines, everything was there. And this cartoon right here just perfectly captures how the Germans saw it. You've got this big, aggressive French military figure sitting on a pile of rubble, and the caption says, "Here I am, here I remain." For Germans, this wasn't a bank collecting a debt. This felt like a hostile invasion by a bully.
So with their main industrial region totally occupied and its resources being taken, Germany's economy didn't just take a hit, it went into a complete nosedive. The German government's response was to tell all the workers to go on strike to just passively resist, and they promised to keep paying everyone's wages by just printing more money. And that right there, that was the fatal mistake.
And that decision, to just fire up the printing presses to pay striking workers, while the economy was producing absolutely nothing, that's what took this from a bad crisis to an absolute catastrophe. This is where we get hyperinflation.
Yeah, this isn't your garden variety inflation where prices go up a little each year. No, hyperinflation is a full-on economic death spiral. The government started printing trillions and trillions of marks, and as they did, the value of each one just cratered. We're not talking about prices rising daily, we're talking hourly.
Just try to wrap your head around this. The money you put aside your entire life, your retirement fund, by lunchtime, it might not be enough to buy a loaf of bread. By dinner, maybe not even a postage stamp. People's life savings were just gone. Poof. The whole idea that money holds its value was completely and utterly destroyed.
So the economic fallout was one thing, but the human and political cost was something else entirely. You can, eventually, rebuild an economy. But how do you rebuild people's faith in the entire system?
And this quote really nails it. You see, the middle class, we're talking teachers, government workers, shop owners, these are the people who are supposed to be the bedrock of any stable democracy. They're the moderates. But this crisis didn't just hurt them, it annihilated them.
It wiped out everything they had and turned them against the very system they should have been supporting.
I mean, you think about it. If your government's policies make your entire life's work completely worthless overnight, are you going to trust them? Of course not. This whole ordeal left this deep, deep scar of anger and humiliation across the country, and it just gutted the Weimar Republic, creating this massive distrust of democracy itself.
And that's the scary question that hung over Germany for the next 10 years. The chaos of 1923 created this giant political vacuum. People were desperate. They wanted order, they wanted stability, and they wanted a strong leader to fix it, no matter the cost. And that desperation, well, it created the perfect breeding ground for extremist movements to take root. What happens when money loses all meaning? The answer would end up shaping the entire 20th century.